The Content Overview Report tab gives us our strategic view of all of the sites inside of our tenant for SharePoint. We can see the number of sites that have had engagement, with engagement being things like a page view or a file edit or download. We can see that percent change in the engaged sites compared to the previous reporting period. We can see viewership churn and understand what users we're losing. We can quantify the number of page viewers and see the change, the number of page views that they may have taken. And we can also plot the periods of high activity. And when we click on the peak viewers time, we can see it plotted over a 24-hour window. And keep in mind that this time is expressed in UTC 0 time. I can also look at the peak day. I can see it expressed as days of the week, and I have the ability to drill up to look at the date or the week of or the month of, depending on the reporting that you're doing at the time. We're now starting to see the behavior of our users in all of the sites across SharePoint. But inevitably, you're going to want to come down to that tactical level and look at a particular site of interest. So to do that, we'll go to the top sites by unique users. We'll select our target site. And as I clicked on the site, you'll notice that the rest of the report has dynamically cross-filtered. So we can see the counts, like engaged sites, viewership churn, page viewers, page views, peak time and day, all have changed to focus on the site that we targeted. And in this video, in this example, it's B2C. You may have also noticed that this blue button activated called See This Site. And when I click on this, I'll dynamically jump into a different report tab called Site Detail. And this, like the name implies, will give us some more details around the site. We could see the site composition. And what I mean is, if the site was a classic site and had subsites, they would be listed here. This appears to be a modern site with no subsites, and we can see a link to get to the site, another link to get into the site settings. Then we quantify the file activity, the page views, the number of internal users, and also if there were guest users, we'd see them as well. The first visual we see are the page activity, and we have all of the pages listed with activity in the site. I can right-click on a page, come down to drill through, and then come into the Page Audience Report tab. And again, this is dynamically filtered when we jump into this page just to see the counts for that respective page. So again, we're greeted with previous viewers if we had any in this reporting period. This is sample data, so it doesn't really hold up that well in a demo, but we would get to understand the viewership and the viewership trends, internal versus external, the number of page views taken by those unique page viewers. And then we also start to get some insights into the location. This is especially important for multinational organizations where they have users or offices dispersed throughout the world. We can see the user country, and as I come over, you'll notice that there are some arrows that are indicating. This indicates that there's a hierarchy of data supporting this particular measure, which means I can drill up. I could go to the user continent if it was populated at the topmost level. I can drill down back to the user country. If the province and state was populated, I would see that as well. We could come down to the city level, zip postal code if that was populated, user address as the bottom of the hierarchy. And you'll find with customer data that it's not always evenly populated. It depends how they're managing their Azure Active Directory. There's no right or wrong here, but it's nice to have the context for the data. Organizations may not choose to populate these attributes in their Azure Active Directory, and that's fine. The next piece that we see that's incredibly important for context around this data is the org unit activity. And in this case, we're seeing the user department. And again, we also see those arrows. So let's drill up and see the whole hierarchy. So we're in the middle of the hierarchy at user department. We can drill up to user business unit, user organization, user domain, this being the top of the hierarchy for the different email domains that might exist in your tenant. Let's drill back down. Org, business unit may not be populated. User department is one that we want to see. It gives incredible context to know where in the organization people are spending their time. Division, building, job title. This can make for interesting attributes to filter on, and that is the extent of the user hierarchy. Let's go back up to our default of department. And then finally, we see the total activity. And we are looking at a date scale. The arrows indicate that I can move up. So we're at month, year. We can move up to quarter. We can move up to year. And it depends how much data you've collected and that you're rendering in your reports. But we can come down from month to week over week analysis, and then straight down to the day. And then you can also use this comparison tab to compare the week of metrics or the others that you choose. You also notice that there's drop-down options for activity, and we could move from activity to headcount or unique viewers. We could also pivot based on attributes like country or department or job code. So you have a lot of flexibility to tailor the analytics to your needs. The last thing that we'll show in the page audience is that we can list the users. And we get a very granular user listing of our users and the high-level activities that they've taken. So let's click the back arrow and come back from page audience and take a look at the file activity. Again, these files will have existed in our site and that have had activity. I'll right-click on this file and I'll go to drill through, and this time I'll go to File Page Detail. We come into the Page File Detail Report tab, and I get to see activity by internal users versus guest users, with guest users not being part of our domain. If they were sharing, we would see a count of those sharers, and finally all activity for KPIs. You'll see this also expressed over time to see that trend with the ability to move up and down that hierarchy as you see fit, and then also a granular listing of the username, the types of activities that they did, their last activity date, and the count of activities that they did for that particular activity name. We rank the user activity by name and then show the type of activity that has happened. So you can have a very good understanding of the longevity of a file over time, who is using it, how they're using it, and how often they're using it. We're back on site detail, and we're greeted again with the consumer information. Previously, we were looking at page activity to see this, but we can have the same view or the same context by org information. So if I click up, we'll get the same level of hierarchy: business unit, organization, domain. And then we can drill down back through department, division, building, job title. And this is a little different. Now we get down to the next level of granularity, which is the user's manager's email address. One more, and we come down to the user email. So very granular. And again, it's to give you the flexibility to explore the data in a way that makes sense for your requirements. Over time, the time scale, again, to give us that third level of context where we had geography, organizational, and now time. Let's click back, and we're back on the Content Overview report tab. And we were looking at a particular site, but we can also drill into a particular page. So if I select this page, you'll notice that the analytics all change for the page, just like it did when we selected the site. And in this time, I can see this blue button activate saying, see this page. And when I click into it, I'm back at page audience, and I get that same viewership experience that we saw when we entered in from the site version of page audience. We have at the strategic level or the tenant-wide level, we get to see all of the users expressed in blue, and for comparison, the number of engaged users expressed in the teal green. And we can click through and see the counts. And again, this is tenant-wide, and if I wanted to dynamically cross-filter, select a site or select a page, and it all dynamically cross-filters. And so now I can see org, I can see time scale, I can see day of week, I can see time of day where things are most popular. And this should allow you to, again, take that strategic view of what's happening inside of your tenant, come down to that tactical level and look at the sites that are in scope for your analysis, and then finally go very strategic with your analysis and look at page and file level analytics.